Welcome to the Cartoon Club. My name is Jack, and in this episode I'll be showing you how to draw shadows on different types of objects. Shadows are quite simple, but they are quite key in order to make something feel realistic. Firstly though, before we get started, if you can like this video and subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. And click the bell icon to get any notifications when a new video appears. Okay, so what I've drawn here is a simple 3D cube, and what I've drawn in the background is a horizon line, just to show that's the very back of wherever the room is. And to begin with, what we have to do is we have to create ourselves a light source. So what I've done earlier is I've just marked on this little page a little dot that intersects that horizon line, and it is 6 centimeters away from the edge of the page. And what we're going to do is we're going to go upwards, and we're going to find a point somewhere higher up, and I'm going to mark that 6 centimeters again. And depending on where this point's going to be, this is going to be where the light source is going to be. So there you go, I've marked a little point there. So this is going to be the light source, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little light bulb. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that central point as a way to determine where the shadows bounce. We need to know this distance across, because what we'll do is we'll add in a line going straight down from that light source right down to that mark that we made earlier. And this is the vertical line showing you the edge, almost pretending like that light bulb is right against the side of that wall. And we're going to use a bit of math to basically determine where each point lands on our shadow. So all the light comes out from the center, so it all radiates outwards. And basically what we have to do is create mini triangles to determine where each point is. So we've got our highest triangle line, highest line that we've marked. And then now we have to mark from that point on the horizon line, match up with any other points on the ground for the cube. So I'm going to match this horizon line with this bottom left point. And then continue the line as far as you can. I'm going to do the same for the point closest to us, that corner point. Marking the line, also marking another line on that far edge point. So that is our ground points marked. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the point higher up to then determine where each of these higher points land. So we're going to angle from that top point. We're going to mark from the center of the light bulb to the top left corner of the cube, and then mark that down. And now you can see that it's intersecting that point and also lining up with that bottom point that we created earlier across the base of the cube. And then we just do the same for the other points, marking that line straight down, and it should match with the top corner and the bottom point. And then we'll add in a match with that top right corner, lining up with our light bulb. So that is the marks of the shadows done, and then what we have to do is simply just join them up. So this line here, when you're looking at it on the floor, that will be this line here. So this line is perfect, that one's already done. This line will then become the points between these two. So we just line our ruler up, and then we find the point where it intersects on the left there, and then the point where it intersects on that bottom mark, and then we join that one up. So this bit has now become this line, and then what we're going to do is we're going to draw that final line going from that bottom point over to that far right point, making sure we line everything up and adding that. There you go. And then from there, this whole section under here will be the thing that's shaded in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade it in quickly, and then I'll be right back. So the shadow's been done now. I've coloured all that in with just a black Sharpie, and then what I've done with the actual cube is I've just gone over with a fine liner just to clear the lines up, just to make it clear as to where that cube is. And the reason I've lined it as well is because we're going to be adding different shades to the actual cube itself. So with the cube, you have to sort of understand where the cube is in relation to the light source in order to add the shadow in, because each side of the cube is going to be a different shade of colour based on where the angle of the cube is. So you know, with the light source, the side opposite this, so behind in this object, is going to be the brightest part, and this top part is also going to be quite light, because those are the 2 points that are closest towards that light source over there. Whereas the points around the edge of the cube, especially this point at the very back, this face, is going to be the darkest because it's furthest away. So as the light source is coming towards it, it's also going to get darker. So the further away your light source is going to be, the darker the object. But because we're quite close, we can allow this top bit to be quite bright. So what I've done is I've got 2 shades of grey. One is considerably lighter than the other, but it's still a lighter shade than the black of the shadow, because the shadow has to be black. It has to be as dark as you can have it, because it's a solid thing. There's no form to a shadow, it's just whatever's there, it's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the darkest shade. So this whole face on the back is going to be the darkest shade of grey that we have. And remember, it doesn't have to be a grey, it can be anything, any colour, a blue or red, but as long as it's darker than the other face, then that is alright, because as long as we get the right tones on the shape, then that's what's key to creating it. So I'm just adding in this grey and then making sure that everything's lined up. And now we're just going to add the slightly lighter version of grey onto that left face as well. So we're just going to add that in. Okay, so that one is done now. So basically the main points we've taken from this episode is to how to place a light source on the page, how to place a shadow on an object based on that light source by using angles of triangles to determine each point of the shadow. And then we've learned about having to shade the actual object that we're talking about as well, and how to include different tonal values to each face of the object, just to show that there is a bit of depth. So that is that episode done, and what we'll do for the next episode is we'll move on to another object. So we've done the cube here. I think the next object we'll do will be a triangle, and then the next video will probably be something a little harder, like a sphere, something round. But we'll stick to just one object today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can like and subscribe this video and click the bell icon for any future notifications you get coming through, that would really be appreciated. But yeah, I hope you had a nice day. Thank you very much.